On November 14, 1986, Jacqueline Lard's ordinary day at her Stafford County real estate office took a sinister turn when she disappeared after work. The following day, a crime scene at her office suggested a violent struggle, and her body was eventually discovered concealed under a carpet in a wooded area miles away. Fast forward to 1989, Amy Baker, an 18-year-old who was visiting her family, vanished on her way home. Her abandoned car was found, sparking a mystery that endured for decades. How were these two cases linked, and what breakthrough ultimately led to their resolution in 2024? Amy Baker, a lively individual born on March 16, 1971, in Springfield, Fairfax County, Virginia, brought happiness to her family as the beloved daughter of Mark Baker and Sue Eisler. In a significant change of life, the Baker family, which also included Amy's younger brother David, moved from the bustling environment of Falls Church to the peaceful community of Hartwood in Stafford County. This relocation was motivated by her parents, Mark and Sue's desire for a more spacious residence and a piece of serenity away from the urban bustle of Fairfax County. Amy, while adapting to her new surroundings, frequently returned to Falls Church, a place filled with familiar faces and cherished memories, to visit friends and family. The Baker household provided a nurturing environment that nurtured Amy's growing interests. She had a passion for field hockey, demonstrating her talents on the varsity team, and a love for capturing moments through photography. With aspirations in the arts, Amy set her sights on attending art school in Savannah, Georgia. In the meantime, she found delight in working as an event photographer at the local mall, where she would take pictures of children with seasonal characters like the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, capturing joyful moments for families. In contrast, information about Jacqueline Lard's early life is less well documented. Born in 1954, Jacqueline was a committed real estate agent in Stafford County by profession, married to Ronald Lard. They shared their lives with their two children. Jacqueline Lard, a dedicated professional and loving mother, played important roles both at work and home, although there is limited information about her personal interests and background. On November 14, 1986, Jacqueline went missing in Stafford County, initiating a perplexing and unresolved mystery. She was last seen at around 9 p.m. at Mount Vernon Realty, unaware that it would be her final moment alive. The following morning, her office revealed a disturbing scene, indicating a violent altercation. Stafford County detectives, along with the Virginia State Police Crime Scene Unit and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, meticulously searched the area for clues, including Jacqueline and her missing car. It was only a day later that two young individuals playing in a wooded area in Woodbridge made a startling discovery: Jacqueline's body hidden under discarded carpet, confirming her tragic fate. Her abandoned vehicle was later found in Fairfax County on December 18th. Despite not yielding immediate results, the collection of evidence during the investigation would prove crucial in solving her case decades later. Amy Baker's story unfolded in a similarly distressing manner. On March 29, 1989, the 18-year-old's journey to visit her parents abruptly halted on Interstate 95 when her car broke down. Leaving her blue 1970 Volkswagen Beetle behind, she set out for a nearby Exxon station. Throughout the night, Amy's absence from home deeply concerned her mother, Sue Baker. Despite trying to rationalize Amy's delay as an adult decision, Sue sensed a grave outcome as dawn approached. Sue frantically searched for her daughter, making calls to hospitals, towing services, relatives, and the police, only to discover that Amy's vehicle had been abandoned the previous night. The response to Amy's disappearance was mixed, with initial speculation from law enforcement suggesting that she may have chosen to vanish. However, the circumstances surrounding the case raised doubts about the initial theory. Amy's belongings were left behind, and her vehicle was found in an unusual location, contradicting the assumption of a voluntary disappearance. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, who even deployed a helicopter, Amy's family felt compelled to take matters into their own hands. Sue Baker and her sister-in-law, Mary Bellette, armed themselves with homemade missing persons posters and tirelessly searched the area. Their determination to raise awareness about Amy's disappearance was a testament to their resilience in the face of the challenges posed by the pre-digital age. Eventually, their search led them to a heart-wrenching discovery near the Backlick Road Bridge. Amy's body, hidden by foliage, was found just yards away from where she was last seen. This tragic find on Good Friday forever changed the lives of the Baker family.
I just miss her, that's all. I just live it all over every night. I don't sleep sometimes because of it. And you can't, it's your child.
These events, separated by time and circumstances, shared a common thread of unanswered questions and the anguish experienced by families left in a state of uncertainty. The investigation into Jacqueline Lard's untimely death was met with a collaborative effort from various law enforcement agencies at both the state and federal levels. The Stafford County Sheriff's Office, Prince William County Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Drug Enforcement Administration joined forces to form a formidable task force dedicated to unraveling the mystery surrounding her demise. Despite extracting DNA from collected evidence and conducting exhaustive searches through Virginia and national DNA databases, the identity of the killer remained elusive. Numerous individuals of interest were compared, and familial searches were conducted, but no significant leads were found, causing the investigation to reach a standstill and eventually go cold. The discovery of Amy Baker's body marked a crucial turning point in her case. Prompted by the desperate search for Amy, law enforcement officials swiftly secured the scene. The sight of Amy's new tennis shoes, barely worn since her 18th birthday, served as a haunting confirmation of the devastating loss her mother had endured. Despite the swift response that followed the grim discovery, the way Amy's case was handled by authorities left her family feeling disheartened and frustrated. Criticisms were raised about the initial search efforts, which the grieving family deemed inadequate. They mourned the tragic necessity of having to find their loved one themselves, a task they believed should have been completed by the police within the first few days of Amy's disappearance. The autopsy results painted a brutal picture. Amy had been subjected to violence, violation, and strangulation, her life cut short tragically soon after she left her vehicle. The investigation evolved into a homicide case, leaving the family and community in shock and mourning the profound loss. Following Amy's murder, the police appealed to the public for help, focusing on two suspicious vehicles seen near Amy's abandoned car, an early 80s dark-colored Buick and a blue Ford Escort. Despite the efforts and an influx of tips after the news of Amy's murder broke, a significant call to Crime Stoppers remained a tantalizing lead that never fully materialized into a breakthrough. The caller, believed to possess crucial information, never contacted the authorities again despite their pleas. This unresolved lead, coupled with the urgent plea for the caller to step forward once more, highlighted the challenges and frustrations inherent in the investigation. With no new leads emerging, the case eventually went cold. In the relentless pursuit of justice for Jacqueline Lard and Amy Baker, investigative teams driven by a combination of determination and cutting-edge forensic technology achieved a major breakthrough that led to solving these long-standing cold cases in 2024. Sheriff Decatur of the Stafford County Sheriff's Office, who had been involved in the Lard case since its inception in 1986, ensured that the investigation never went dormant. The dedication to seeking justice for Jacqueline was reflected in the determination of the detectives handling Amy Baker's case, each motivated by an unwavering resolve. The breakthrough in these cases came when retired. Detective Dave Wood made the decision to utilize forensic investigative genetic genealogy, combining DNA analysis with genealogical research to shed new light on the identity of the killer. Parabon Nanolabs, a leading company in DNA phenotyping, played a crucial role in this endeavor. Through their advanced analysis, they linked the DNA evidence from Jacqueline Lard's murder scene to that of Amy Baker, conclusively connecting the two cases for the first time. The detectives delved into the circumstances surrounding Amy's tragic demise, discovering that her car had run out of gas and deducing that she may have been seeking help when she encountered her attacker. This vital piece of information added depth to their understanding of her final moments and emphasized the brutality of the encounter. In 2021, the cold case detectives of the Fairfax County Police Department submitted their evidence to DNA Labs International, resulting in the development of a comprehensive DNA profile. Once this profile was uploaded to the Virginia State Database, a direct link to the ongoing investigation of Jacqueline Lard's murder was revealed. This connection between the two cases marked a pivotal moment, propelling the investigation forward with renewed determination. On December 14, 2023, the detectives identified a family name that could potentially be associated with the suspect, leading them on a path that eventually led to Elroy Neal Harrison, a 65-year-old resident of Stafford County. This identification was the culmination of years of meticulous investigation, innovative technological application, and the relentless pursuit of answers by all those involved. Subsequent follow-up on this lead and the acquisition of a search warrant for Harrison's DNA solidified their suspicions. In February of 2024, the Department of Forensic Science confirmed the match based on the DNA collected from Harrison. Consequently, after almost 40 years, the enigma surrounding the deaths of Jacqueline Lard and Amy Baker was ultimately resolved. Elroy Neal Harrison, a name that remained unknown until the groundbreaking resolution of these two enduring cold cases, was born in 1959. Although much of his early life remains mysterious, the available information portrays a man who once resided among the inhabitants of Stafford County, Virginia. However, his life took a significant turn in 1983 when he was apprehended for a bank robbery in Virginia, resulting in his imprisonment. Harrison's time behind bars concluded on June 30, 1986, when he was released back into society. This timeline is crucial as it closely precedes the tragic events involving Jacqueline Lard and Amy Baker. On March 4, 2024, a significant breakthrough occurred in the long-standing cold cases of Jacqueline Lard and Amy Baker when Elroy Neal Harrison was indicted by a grand jury in Stafford County. The charges against him were severe, including first-degree murder, abduction with the intent to defile, and aggravated malicious wounding of Jacqueline Lard, along with breaking and entering with the intent to commit murder. The following day, on March 5, 2024, law enforcement officers arrested Harrison at his residence in Stafford. At the age of 65, Harrison found himself facing the full force of the law as he was booked into the Rappahannock Regional Jail in Stafford, charged with murder, abduction, assault, and burglary. Held without the possibility of bail, Harrison awaited his arraignment, a pivotal moment in this decades-long saga, scheduled for April 5, 2024. This event marked the commencement of the legal proceedings against him. Throughout the years since the tragic loss of Jacqueline Lard and Amy Baker, their families have embarked on a complex journey of grief and resilience. Edwin Lard, the son of Jacqueline, serves as a prime example of resilience. Despite growing up in the shadow of his mother's unresolved murder, Edwin decided to dedicate his life to serving others. He initially pursued a career as a Navy medical corpsman and later transitioned to becoming a paramedic. However, his commitment to helping others did not end there. Edwin went on to assume the role of executive director at Rescue Task Force, a consulting group specializing in threat protection. As a father to 3 daughters and a son, Edwin stands as a testament to the unwavering spirit of his family. He firmly asserts, "While my mother may have been his victim, I refuse to be his victim. Neither my family nor I will succumb to victimhood." This resolute refusal to let tragedy define them is also mirrored by the Baker family, who have chosen a path of resilience in the face of unimaginable loss.
35 years? Yeah. And for the other lady, it was 38. It's just amazing. You wanted to laugh. You wanted to do a high five.
I thought I'd be dead, really, that I died before I knew.
To be clear, for them, this is not closure.
That's not a word I use because you can't have closure. It's like putting a top on a box. You can't do that when it's your child.
But it's one step closer to getting justice.
I want to see him never see the light of day again.
For their only daughter.
Here's Amy. See, so when we come out of our bedroom, we see her.
On September 21st, 1987, a sheriff's deputy from Isle of Wight County discovered David Nobling's Ford Ranger pickup truck abandoned at the Ragged Island Wildlife Refuge during a nighttime patrol. The truck was found with closed but unlocked doors, the driver's side window down, and the radio still playing, yet there was no sign of anyone inside. 2 days later, the bodies of Nobling and Robin Edwards, aged 20 and 14 respectively, were discovered by a beachcomber on the shoreline of Ragged Island, approximately a mile away from the James River Bridge. Both victims had been shot at close range in the back of their heads. State Police spokeswoman Corinne Geller stated that the case remained unsolved for 36 years. During the investigation, Wilmer was among the several suspects considered by the investigators. However, it was only after Wilmer's death in 2017 that a genetic sample could be obtained and compared to the DNA preserved from the crime scene. At a press conference held on January 8th at the State Police's regional headquarters in Suffolk, Geller announced that the Virginia Department of Forensic Science had issued a certificate of analysis confirming a genetic match to Alan Wilmer Sr. The DNA sample obtained from Wilmer's body also matched the DNA of the perpetrator, responsible for the rape and murder of Teresa Spall Howell, a 29-year-old woman who was found dead in 1989 in Hampton. According to Captain Rebecca Warren of the Hampton Police, Howell was last seen alive on July 1, 1989, at 2:30 a.m. at the former Zodiac Club, a popular night spot off Mercury Boulevard. Approximately 8 hours later, construction workers discovered female clothing near the woods off Butler Farm Road, leading them to the unidentified remains of a woman. After Howell's family filed a missing person report in York County, the police identified the remains as Howell's and determined that she had been strangled to death. 3 days later, articles of Robin's clothing were also found near the crime scene at Ragged Island, inside Nobling's truck. In a 2022 interview with the Smithfield Times, prior to the 35th anniversary of the unsolved crime, Jeanette Edwards Santiago, Robin's older sister, shared additional similarities. At the time, Santiago was 19 years old and living independently when her parents called her on September 19, 1987, a Saturday, inquiring if she had seen Robin that evening. Santiago responded negatively, stating, "No." She explained, "I didn't think much of it then, because she had run away a couple of months earlier and was gone for 2 weeks." Santiago mentioned that Robin and she had not been on speaking terms since she had reported her sister for riding her bicycle from their parents' house in Newport News all the way to the Coleman Memorial Bridge in York County. According to Santiago's mother, Robin had arranged a date with Jason Nobling's cousin on September 19th, which turned out to be the last time anyone saw David or Robin alive. Jason, David, and Michael, David's brother, arrived at the Edwards residence in David's Ford Ranger to take Robin to a movie that was sold out. Instead, the group went to an arcade and dropped Robin off at her parents' house around 10 p.m. After returning home, Robin put her younger sister Pam to bed, but later went out again with David. The reason why they ended up crossing the James River Bridge to Ragged Island and whether they did so willingly remains unknown. During the press conference, the police did not provide further details on how or if Wilmer knew his victims. "For 36 years, our families have lived in uncertainty," stated representatives from the Nobling and Edwards families in a joint statement. "We have lived with the fear that the person responsible for deliberately killing Robin and David could harm another victim. Now, We can find solace and justice in knowing that he can no longer harm anyone else. We are not claiming that these cases are closed. They are resolved for now, but we acknowledge that there is still much work to be done, expressed Geller. The subsequent task, she mentioned, is to attempt and construct a chronological sequence of events in Wilmer's life in order to determine if there were any additional victims. Alan Wilmer, who was 63 years old at the time of his death in Lancaster in 2017, worked as a commercial fisherman when the Ragged Island murders took place. He possessed and frequently resided on a 1976 fishing boat called the Denny Wade, which he would dock at marinas in Gloucester and Middlesex counties, as well as throughout Hampton Roads. He was known to drive various trucks, including a distinct 1966 blue Dodge Fargo pickup with the custom license plate EM Raw, which may have been a reference to his primary occupation of farming clams and oysters. According to Geller, Wilmer was also commonly referred to as Pokey. In addition to his fishing endeavors, he operated a tree service and was an enthusiastic hunter. Geller chose not to provide further details on how and when the police began to suspect Wilmer of either crime. Part of the cold case philosophy is to thoroughly review and re-examine all witness statements and evidence, which is a time-consuming and intricate process, but ultimately very effective, Geller explained. Due to the absence of any felonies on Wilmer's criminal record, the police did not have his DNA on file and were unable to obtain a sample for testing until after his death in 2017. Wilmer, Geller stated, was one of several suspects whose recently acquired DNA was submitted for analysis. In a written statement distributed during the press conference, Wilmer's family expressed their complete and horrifying shock upon learning of the DNA match. "The man who committed these crimes was not someone we knew," the family statement conveyed. "The revelation of his actions has deeply affected our family as we grapple with reconciling who we believed him to be with the unimaginable things he has done. We mourn deeply for the families of the victims and the community, and they are in our prayers. We cannot fathom the extent of their suffering throughout all these years. Please inform us if you were acquainted with Wilmer, the nature of your relationship with him, and any interactions you had, so that we can establish a timeline and determine if there are other potential victims," Geller emphasized to the general public. Former Isle of Wight County Sheriff Charlie Phelps, who took over the Ragged Island case when he assumed office in January 1988, revealed to the Times in 2022 that he had long suspected another individual, Samuel Reeder, whom the new DNA evidence now seems to exonerate. Shortly after beginning his term as sheriff, Phelps was investigating the reported theft of firearms from a woman's home in Isle of Wight and grew suspicious of the woman's son. The son eventually confessed to stealing a gun from his mother's residence and selling it at a pawn shop in Mississippi, but then implicated a roommate, Reeder, who had lived with them in Isle of Wight. According to the book A Special Kind of Evil, The Colonial Parkway Serial Killings by Blaine Pardo and Victoria Hester, Reeder, then 28 years old, had provided one of the original tips to the sheriff's office during the investigation into David's and Robin's disappearance. Phelps recalled that Reeder initially claimed to have visited Ragged Island out of curiosity on September 23, 1987, when the bodies were discovered, but later stated that he had seen Nobling's truck parked there days earlier. In his final account, Reeder admitted to taking money from Nobling's wallet, which was left in the truck, but denied any involvement in the deaths of David and Robin. A 2022 report on the unsolved Ragged Island case revealed that Reeder was found dead in his Chesapeake mobile home on the morning of August 8, 1990, at the age of 31, hanging from a doorknob with an electrical cord around his neck.